In tribute to retiring Metropolitan Water Reclamation District President Terry O'Brien, perhaps the finest official in the state of Illinois, we're going to bring back one of the best shows we've ever done. It's a ride along the North Shore Channel aboard PC-1, which stands for Pollution Control 1, where you see the fish, the wildlife, the animals. It's just an amazing tour. You wouldn't believe we've got something like this so close to home. So, Terry, I want to wish you all the luck in the future, and thanks so much for all the great shows, and we hope you'll come on. Avast, you mateys. I am Marty Levinson. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine. We're about to embark on a very interesting trip up the North Shore Channel of the Chicago Sanitary Canal, together with the president of the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District, Terry O'Brien, and let you know some of the things that are right next to our backyard that we almost never get to see. So come on along. Thanks to my entire technical crew, Sonny Hirsch. Check us out on the web, www.ntnm.org. Hi, Avi Myers here, Northtown Neighborhood News Magazine, and we are aboard Pollution Control 1. That's a boat that's owned and operated by the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago. Our host today, Terry O'Brien, will be with us shortly, but Ken Johnson, who is a pollution control officer for the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District, is about to introduce us to our crew and our hosts for the day. Take it away, Ken.
Hi, I'm Ken Johnson. Today we'll be going aboard on one of our regular trips down the river, taking water samples and removing and exchanging monitoring, remote monitoring equipment. Our patrol boat operators today are Javier Salazar, Larry Conroy, and our pollution control technician today is Robert Camella. And there are a regular crew on board, either one of our two vessels, PC-1 or PC-100.
They're going to take samples, so we're going to see what the samples are. Are you able to hear what we're saying?
Yeah, they're just getting all later.
Yeah, go ahead and get the water samples.
He's taking a dissolved oxygen sample. This sample would be preserved and then brought into the laboratory for analysis. The reason we do that is we compare it to the data that's downloaded off of the remote monitor, and compare the data from the laboratory analysis to what the monitor is saying. And that gives us an idea of whether or not the sensors have drifted since we were last here.
Is there a big difference from one location to another, what the samples might be?
Yeah, it varies a lot based on temperature and the type of water flow and where it's located within the waterway system. So it can vary quite a bit. And he puts a safety loop on there just to make sure we don't lose it.
So that goes down that
goes down that tube. To about 3 feet underwater. And it'll sit there inside that tube, which has holes and screening on the bottom, so water's constantly flowing through. And every 15 minutes to half an hour, it'll take a reading, of various parameters like temperature, pH, dissolved oxygen content, turbidity. The monitors can be set to, take a number of different parameters.
And that'll remotely come to you?
We don't have a remote transmitting system as yet. That's part of what this boat does, is we go between all of these locations where we have the monitors set up. There's 49 of them throughout the waterway system on the North Branch, North Shore Channel, Chicago River, Calumet, Calsag Channel, throughout the entire system, we have these set up.
Now, how often do you take readings at these places?
Well, as I said, the monitors themselves take a reading every 15 minutes to a half an hour.
And those are recorded in those...
That's recorded in the remote sensor, the sonde, and then it's brought back to a laboratory and downloaded into a computer and forms a database.
Is there an actual water sample in that thing that you just took out?
No, there isn't.
Okay.
No, the can that has an actual water sample.
Yeah.
You can, we could go back and you could watch them fix that.
As a matter of fact, yeah, you know what? I assume that those were those bottles that we saw back
Right.
there. The, we'll get a shot of them, but those yellow bottles, that's what color this stuff is down here? Or?
No, that the color is a result of the chemical reactions. We put in, fixatives, various chemicals that will absorb the oxygen that's in the sample and combine with other chemicals and isolate the oxygen. And when you do that, it changes the color, just like
yeah. For
like
a minute, I thought it was.
paper would.
For a minute, I thought it was in a hospital, and that looked like. Well, you know what I mean.
Right. And basically, the rule of thumb is that the clearer and lighter the sample is, the less oxygen there is in it. So when you get a nice deep orange, brownish orange, that's indicative of fair amount of oxygen. If it's almost clear, then there's a significant oxygen deficit.
Yeah.
And the analysis can also be done colorimetric. They just compare it to a color chart.
Yeah.
So that you can read it just like you would
cool.
with pH paper.
Yeah. And that's a blue heron up there?
Yeah, blue heron there on the tree.
Beautiful.
Very reptilian looking bird.
Yeah. Stuff I don't get to see.
Well, they're here, but they're mainly around the waterways because that's where they make their living. And people don't come down here to bother them. It's a seniors building here.
Right now the path was going to switch along here. Was supposed to happen?
Well, originally they ran a path. There's a path that runs along the back of the building here.
Yeah.
Runs up to Devon. Okay. And then the concern was with traffic on Devon.
But then you don't have to hold it.
Get traffic on Devon, I was trying to get people across the street without getting hit by a car. So
See, that's the reason
Bernie
I'm
had
taking the
proposed
back pass.
he proposed about putting a bridge over Devon when they're redoing that intersection at Howard and McCormick.
Right.
But I think it was just too costly. So one of the other options would be to build an underpass path like you've seen under Peterson Avenue, Lincoln Avenue, and Foster Avenue. So.
This is pretty cool. I mean, you've probably seen this a million times before, but I like it.
This is part of our operations coming up here on both the left and the right here. This is an aeration station.
Now you're pumping air, and this is just south of Devon right
adding
now.
oxygen into the water supply.
And that accomplishes. We talked about this on the air on the show before, but what does that accomplish?
Improves the aquatic life, fish and vegetation. What happens is...
And that'll help us get that 69th variety of fish into the... Well, we're up to 68, right?
Exactly, 68.
Because the gefilte doesn't count.
But when the water leaves our plant, it loses its oxygen supply, so actually what we're adding is oxygen back into the water supply. We have somewhat of a chart over here as to...
Devon Avenue Instance.
Aeration station, so...
We'll try to get that on the way back. So in other words, it will increase fish. From what I can see, that'll increase the amount of fish, the aeration.
There's actually plates on the bottom of the river that pump air up into the water. And they have one down in Webster on the North Branch of Chicago River. And then we have 5 what we call side stream elevated pool aeration stations.
Yeah.
And those are basically like waterfall configuration built into a park setting. Very, very aesthetically pleasing and attractive. And those are on the Cal Sag.
Cool.
This is just one of the outfalls during heavy rainfalls. Now,
Now, the gang graffiti over here. Sonny, get the graffiti on those things if you can. You call up graffiti cleaners to...
Yeah, the Chicago, City of Chicago has a graffiti removal boat that they utilize.
Yeah.
And they'll come along and clean it up. And then...
a graffiti boat.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then we have an actual debris boat that comes along, cleans up the debris and all the dead vegetation that falls during heavy rainstorms.
Now, when
Now we're behind Phillips Stadium here.
and now is that some kind of boat launch, Sonny? Turn around.
This is where they used to pump river water to water the fields at Phillips Stadium.
It's interesting.
That's
now,
their source of effluent for keeping the grass green at Phillips Stadium.
Oh, interesting. Now, when Friends of Chicago River does their annual thing, I mean, do they wind up getting like inner spring mattresses and stuff when they're...
No, most of the cleanup that they do is along the banks of the river.
I would think so, because I think if you guys are dragging a troll back here, you know, like any dead bodies would be picked up on a regular basis.
Anything that's actually in the river is that our maintenance and operations department will handle as far as picking up.
That's Tui up there?
Yeah.
So this would be Winston Towers up here?
Yeah, Winston Towers over here. And that's the mall on this side.
Yeah.
Both sides of our property of the channel here.
Yeah. Oh, so this is right where the Sonny, this is right where the bicycle path is. All those incredibly the sculpture park with the half-naked Gandhi among others, and it's from driving up McCormick. You know, I get to see, but I've never gotten to see it. I've been in Winston Towers a couple times, but very rarely, so I get to see the side from here. But yeah, this is just cool to see it from this side. And that's the Lincolnwood Town Center.
We're going to take another DO sample here. The sample is for our NPDES permit from the north side.
So the sample, but is there anything, so this is just a straight out of the water sample?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
This is a sample that's required, for the, he's taking a dissolved oxygen sample for the district's NPDES permit.
Yeah.
Stands for the National Pollution Discharge Elimination System. Federally required for our operating and discharging treated wastewater into the waterways.
Does anybody actually dump anything in here? Or? Like you had the thing with Standard Oil in Indiana, in Lake Michigan or whatever that is, or it's not Standard Oil
not on
anymore,
this section of the river. There really isn't any industrial discharge other than our sewage treatment plant up here at Howard.
Yeah.
Most of the rest of the flows, either diverted from Lake Michigan through Wilmette Harbor, or it's stormwater flows.
On the south side, we have more industry. There's some discharge into it.
Yeah, on the Chicago Sanitary Ship Canal, South Branch, North Branch, CalSag, Calumet. There's a lot of industrial discharges, not process discharges, but mostly non-contact cooling water. They'll take water out of the waterway, run it through condensers to cool off equipment or condense steam back into water, and then discharge the water back into the river. And the discharge is essentially regular river water. It's just been raised in temperature for cooling purposes.
Yes. Oh, this is Howard?
Yeah. Our discharge from the north side treatment plant's right up here.
Oh, I smell something. Oh, I smell the area. I know the neighbors complain about it, but whatever.
There's a treatment
I smell the
plant right
place.
there. Up above the discharge from our treatment plant, you'll see the water will change color. That's because the water coming out of our treatment plant might look dark, but that's because it's clear.
Interesting.
And you go up above it where the flow's coming out of the lake, and it'll look kind of grayish white.
Yeah.
And that's because of the sediments from the clay banks in the Lake Michigan, actually coming down. That gets diluted by our discharge and changes color. Makes for a good fishing spot.
Oh, Skokie Swift. Yeah. Cool. I never have taken the Skokie Swift.
That's where all the birds are gathering up there. That's the discharge.
Ah, that's where you're gonna take the.
Well, we're going up above that a ways, up to Main Street. The next remote monitor or sonde is settled on the bottom at Main Street. That way we can get a reading, from, what is downstream and what's naturally occurring up above our treatment plant. And you can compare the two then. Now we're going up, just up here a little ways, and we're going to pull in and pick up another one of our pollution control technicians.
Yeah.
These chains that are on the bottom require a couple of people to handle them safely and maneuver the boat. So we'll pick up another person up here, get the chain and monitor off the bottom, reinstall it, and then the PCTs will get off and take all those samples back to our laboratory.
That just like a soccer ball or something.
Yeah, a lot of parks on either side.
Oh, okay.
Notice how the different watercolor here?
Yeah, I do notice, all the leaves staying and more plastic pop bottles, I guess, from the parks.
And notice a lot more leaves because there isn't very much flow up in this section except for what the district does on controlled diversions from the lake.
Yeah, how often does this boat, you do this weekly or monthly?
Weekly. Weekly, year-round.
Yeah. Does it ever freeze up on you, or?
Yeah, it does sometimes for a few weeks in like January, late December, early January.
So you're not able to go through that at all, or?
Well, we can most times get up here to Main Street, but it stays free at least as far as our sewage treatment plant.
Oh, okay.
This water coming out of there.
So this will happen from Howard further north.
Pardon?
So the freezing happens like over here where it's stagnant?
Yeah, it happens upstream where there isn't as much flow. The majority of the flow is coming out of our sewage treatment plant, which means it's essentially heated groundwater.
Okay.
And what comes out of showers and toilets, and washing machines, that has a higher temperature, and it's down in the sewers, which are below the frost line. So
Yeah, it's you know what? Make sure the microphone's at least on the top.
So the water's below, the frost line.
Yeah.
It doesn't cool off. It's pretty much the same temperature year round.
This is Oakton over here, or?
Yeah, I think this is Oakton. Yeah. This is the Skokie canoe launch right up here.
Oh.
And just past that, there's a bulkhead where our debris control boat will come, and they clean up the waterways, pull out trees and motorcycles and whatever's in the waterway and obstructs navigation and flow.
Now, are you actually trolling now? Did you drop the troll, or?
No.
Okay.
Well, we won't do that until we get up to Main Street.
Okay.
We know right where it is, so we only trawl, right where we know it is.
Right.
Otherwise, as I said, we end up with motorcycles and bicycles and shopping carts.
Now, does anybody ever go get that stuff, or?
Yeah, we'll put it up on the side, and our debris control boat will come by and pick it up. And there's a dumpster right up here where they'll unload it. Our debris control boat is a small towboat and barge with a crane on it.
Yeah.
And a crew of people with chainsaws and
Are those motorcycles
torches and,
auctionable at all? Or
Pardon?
you ever able to sell any of that stuff, or it just gets cut down and?
It's not enough to make it worthwhile selling.
I hear. Okay. And this is the canoe.
Now this is Skokie Park District canoe ramp. And
There's actually a
skulls. Yeah,
motorboat
we were
sitting
talking
there.
about the skulls. There's Northwestern skulls up there.
Ah.
on
Oh,
the
I
top,
see that, yeah.
And they base out of here.
What are these things on the floor here, Sonny? What are these things open and close?
That's access to a void space. This area is, there's a bulkhead right about here
Yeah.
that seals off the bow in case we hit anything and put
Also,
a hole in
water
the hull.
won't, yeah.
And that's just access to it. So this section is, walled off from the rest of the boat. So if we hit something and puncture the hull, that void space will fill up, but not the rest of the boat. And that just provides access down there for maintenance.
Picking somebody up here, Ken?
Pardon?
Are you picking somebody?
Yeah, we're picking up one of our PCTs, Pat Sandrick, I believe. When we, trawl for these sans mounted on the bottom, it really requires 2 or 3 people to do it safely, because we're pulling up a big stainless cylinder and maybe, 100 feet of 3/8 inch chain. We don't want anybody hurt, so this is the only one on this section of the river. So she'll just meet us, do this, and then the PCTs will take all the equipment and samples back. And the PBOs take the boat back.
Yeah.
And when we do, this chain recovery, we know roughly where it is, but we'll go upstream of it and then turn around, start coming back, and the PBOs will lower, a cable and hook over the side. They'll have little radios, voice-activated radios, so they can talk back and forth and give directions about, forward, left, right, whatever, back, down.
That's the dumpster you were talking about,
Yeah,
where
this
everything.
is the dumpster that our
and
debris
that's
control
obviously
boats
your.
use.
I recognize the colors on the truck.
Yeah, that's our one of our PCTs.
Pollution control technician.
Right.
Yeah, I just gotta say it once in a while when you say it, so the people at home are gonna know what we're talking about.
Seen all these tree branches and stuff. That's what they pull out of the river, you feel.
Wow.
As we go along, you might notice, a tree that's angling out and it's been cut off by a chainsaw. That's our debris control boat doing that.
Yeah. And that I assume is the chain.
No.
Oh, okay.
No. It's up further on Main Street, underneath the Main Street Bridge. That way we don't run the risk of, shallow water hitting anything with the props and doing damage.
Yeah,
So
how
she'll
far?
just step across.
Is this also like 4 feet high here, or whatever it is?
Yeah, actually, right in here, it's probably about 4 feet.
Yeah.
The channel here has not been maintained for navigational purposes for years. This is Pat Sandrick.
Hi.
Hi there.
This is Avi Meyer.
How are you?
Sunny.
Hi. Thanks for
And
having me.
Terry,
Yeah.
This section of, the canal, it isn't maintained as a navigable waterway. At one time it was.
Yeah.
And barges come up this way, head out through the locks in
Yeah.
Wilmette Harbor. But that's been closed off, and this waterway isn't maintained. So what happens is, the bank erosion will come out on the bank, and it'll have a slow slope, and it'll dip off in the center, and that's pretty much maintained by our boat going back and forth.
Interesting.
get up there first, he'll take a dissolved oxygen sample like you've seen him take before, and he'll start to fix it. Fixing just means it's not going to be gaining or losing whatever constituent you're looking for. In this instance, dissolved oxygen. And he'll shake it up and it'll make a flock. Looks like a creamy flakes. And after a while, that'll settle down. Then he'll add some acid, which dissolves those flakes and causes a color change. And that's what, when that happens, then all the oxygen in the sample's been, picked up into this chemical complex. And you're not going to gain it or lose it. When we take other samples, many of the samples will have fixatives in it. If we're looking at trace metals, there'll be nitric acid in there, which will dissolve the metals and hold them in suspension, so that in solution, I mean, so that we won't be missing stuff that sits on the bottom. Others, such as cyanide, will be taking cyanide samples. Will have a preservative in there that'll keep it from changing. Others.
Now the cyanide naturally occurs, or it's?
It would be artificial, and honestly, it's not been an issue, but it's something you definitely want to keep an eye on.
Oh, I would think so. Yeah.
Well, there are enough.
I mean, I just know the stuff from spy movies, but.
Well, there's enough metal finishing companies that use cyanide.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we want to make sure nobody's playing fast and loose. And this is the chain I was talking about. So it goes from one side of the bridge to the other. So he's taking a sample. Now, if you want to go back and watch the color
Yeah, Sonny,
changes
he's taking
and
a
stuff.
sample.
If you wanted to see him fix it and the color changes, that's
Sonny, over here.
a little interesting.
Sonny, want to come this way? He's taking
Bob?
a sample.
Bob, could you hold off fixing the sample so we can get a video of it?
It takes about 3 minutes to settle. Get off what is there watching this.
I want to hold it up and see. This is the flock that I was talking about.
Oh,
See how the chemicals create a flock. That flock is grabbing onto the oxygen, and eventually that'll settle out down to about about halfway, and then
it becomes this lovely color, I assume.
well, after we put in some acid, sulfuric acid.
Sonny,
now
behind you.
Now they're going to get ready to turn around and drag for that sand housing chain. First project here is they're going to lay out some cable, and they'll drop the grappling hook over the side, pay out the cable, and then drag along the bottom until we catch on to the chain.
How many feet of cable is it?
Oh, we usually go about 5 times the depth. Here, call it 5-6 feet. It'd be about 25 feet of cable put out. You can see how shallow it is when we maneuver.
Oh yeah, from the
Picking up all the sediment in here. That's also why we take the sample